Enormous figures appear among the trees. Mysterious silhouettes move along distant cliffs, and strange creatures emerge from dark caves as if they have been hiding there all along. Today, we will show you the most powerful video ever filmed of a jinn sighting. So, if you are someone who gets easily frightened, please watch the video with a family member. Massive figures standing between trees, shapes moving across cliffs, creatures stepping out of caves like they have always been there. Most of these encounters are dismissed, but some, like these clips, are harder to ignore, so watch closely. Tired and looking for somewhere to rest, he spotted a cave, but before he could get anywhere, a pale, thin, giant figure stepped out from the cave. Its arms hung unusually long at its sides, and its body looked nothing like a normal person. The man did not go any closer. He turned around and walked back the way he came, and the giant at that cave entrance became a mystery. Strange giant creature. An expert out in the rocky hills of Nevada was recording the landscape when something strange caught his eye. A giant figure covered in what looked like dark clothes or its shield. Its head had strange protrusions on it, possibly horns, and its body was built in a way that looked powerful and heavy. Dios mío, pensé que ya no existían, lo ven chicos. The figure stayed for a moment, almost like it was watching the ground below. Then it jumped straight down off the ledge and disappeared into the rocks below. Whatever it was, it moved with complete confidence across that terrain, like those hills were its home. Winged human. This clip comes from an unknown source with no location and no explanation attached to it. Shot in heavy snowfall, it shows a giant white figure standing in the middle of the blizzard. The shape is human-robed and hooded, but on its back are two enormous wings spread wide open. The snow and fog make the details hard to pin down, but the outline is clear enough. Whether it is something ancient or something supernatural. Cave dweller. Most people assume giants are just legends, but footage like this makes that hard to believe. A giant figure with long hair and a beard was stepping out of a cave entrance, built right into the rocky cliff face. It didn't look confused or lost. It moved with purpose, heading straight toward the tree line below, like it was going out to find food. The cave, the surrounding woods, the rocky ledge, all of it belonged to this creature. It had been living there quietly, completely hidden, and nobody had any idea until this footage showed up. Giant dragging rope. This footage dates back to 1992. A group of hikers had just reached the top of a rocky mountain when one of them pointed toward the opposite side. There was a big cave carved into the face of the rock, but then a tall, human figure slowly walked out from the darkness and stood right at the edge of the cave entrance. A creature that size had no reason to be living inside a mountain cave, and yet there it was, standing in the open, like it owned the place. Pale giant. A man exploring the woods had wandered much further than he planned. Oh my God! It has one eye, no way. While going through the mountain, a hiker looked up at the rocky ridge above and saw someone standing at the top. It was an old man, tall, with long white hair and a dark robe. But what made it truly strange was the top of that staff. Unexpected catch. A photographer in Russia had hiked up a mountain peak to capture the sunset. The view was perfect, but when he reviewed the footage, something on a distant peak caught his eye. Standing right at the top of another mountain was a giant dark figure, human in shape but far too big to be a person. The distance made the details impossible to see clearly, just a dark silhouette standing completely alone on that peak. No hiker goes up there, and no trail leads to that spot. Yet something was standing there that made the whole thing creepy. Lost giant. Deep in the forests of North Carolina, a group of tourists set out for what was supposed to be a peaceful camping experience under the trees. But the quiet didn't last long. Between the trunks, a towering humanoid figure rising far above the forest line. It carried two huge pieces of wood as if they weighed nothing. Mira eso, güey. Ahí abajo lo estás grabando. Its pale, weathered look made it feel like a giant lost. It was glowing blue. The man just stood there on the rocks, completely still, looking down. Then the moment the driver pointed a camera up at him, The old man noticed he turned, and within seconds he was gone. That was surely something seriously mysterious. Cave giant. Recorded on a handheld camcorder, but what it captured is impossible to ignore. Deep in a remote mountain valley, a giant is walking slowly across open ground. Estimates put it at around 30 feet tall. In one hand, it drags a heavy rope behind it, old torn fabric flapping with every step. The surrounding rocks and ground make the size absolutely overwhelming. Nobody knows who filmed this, but that giant might be still out somewhere. Mysterious duo. An old video surfaced online, with no clear source and no explanation attached. It shows two giant figures walking through an open field. At the edge of a forest, one looks more human. Heavily built with long hair and an axe hanging from its hand. Moving casually like it belongs there. The other is pale and moves differently. Almost otherworldly, the two appear to be together. A group of kids in Indonesia were enjoying a day by a stream near a waterfall when they noticed something on the opposite bank. A pale creature was crouched at the edge of the woods, slowly making its way out into the open. It didn't look like anything from that area. The kids didn't wait to get a better look. They ran local people who heard about the sighting. Said nothing, like it had ever been reported in that area before, walking side by side through the trees, like they are searching for something. People who watched the footage were completely divided. Some believe these two creatures have been living together out in those woods for a long time. Others just had no words at all. Creepy encounter. Another time had stepped back into the present. Yeti trapped. Up on a rocky cliff face, tucked inside a cave opening that should be completely unreachable, there was what looks like a yeti, big, heavy, and covered in what looks like white fur. It could very well be a yeti. It appears stuck, unable to get out through the narrow opening. But the real mystery is not how it gets out. It is how it got in. There is no path, no ledge, no route up to that cave that makes any physical sense. What if he finds a way to come out? Kandahar giant? There is a cave in Kandahar, Afghanistan that locals have talked about for hundreds of years. People believe a massive giant lives inside. It was walking through the trees when she noticed a figure standing between them. Up ahead it was tall, dark, and completely still. I'm loading up wood and I look up, and this is what I see. Wait for it. The shape of it didn't match any animal or person she had ever seen. She kept her distance and made her way back out. When she came out of the forest, she couldn't speak about it properly. Whatever was standing in those trees was something she had no name for. Mystery cliff figure. A man recording the mountain view from below noticed something dark moving along the top of a cliff edge. He zoomed in and kept the camera on it. A dark figure was there at the very edge of the rock face. No logical reason for anything to be up there. What it was doing up there is impossible to say. The cliff was too high and too remote. People started gathering in the street and looking up at the rocky hill above the rooftops. Standing at the top was a giant figure. It just stood there, looking out over the village below. Completely still. Nobody went up, nobody got closer. The crowd just watched from a distance. After some time, the figure turned and disappeared back into the trees behind the hill. The village has been talking about it ever since. Many locals believe it will come back again. Mysterious creature encounter. A woman exploring a snowy forest in China. One explorer decided to go check it out for himself. He walked up to the entrance, pointed his camera inside, and that's when it appeared. A giant figure stepped out from the darkness, tall, thin and covered in a long, thick beard, staring directly at the camera. The explorer turned around and left immediately. Honestly, he did the right thing. Brazil village giant. A small village in Brazil for anyone to go up and investigate. Whatever was walking along that edge that day remains completely unidentified.